What's up, YouTube? We have an upgraded setup. We got an upgraded camera. We have upgraded quality. I'm having a good day. Are you guys having a good day? I'm sure you are. I'm sure you are. The topic of the video is the willingness to learn, right? So it's not going to be the typical type of video where, you're trying to figure out do I really want to learn this type of situation? Do I want to learn this algorithm to get me here? It's more just the concept of what it means to learn. And being honest, learning is hard. And the willingness to learn new things is even harder. Can't teach an old dog new tricks. That's something that keeps coming to my mind. Something that I was in complete opposition of until lately, I'll say, until recently, I was in complete opposition of the concept of you can't teach an old dog new tricks. And I think it's mostly because it takes a lot of energy. You burn calories. Your brain burns calories as you are thinking, right? So as you're taking on new tasks, as you are creating the willingness to be more than you currently are, you have to understand that expands and expends energy, right? I'm sure you understand that. I'm sure you're fatigued after you've been studying all night. You understand that it expends energy. But the willingness to expend the energy, the willingness to learn, I think sometimes is just as great as learning whatever it is that you're learning. Because, if not greater, hear me out. Let's say the hardest thing that we can think of is like rocket science. Let's say I'm going to be a rocket scientist. I'm going to go through all the schooling. I'm going to understand all the formulas. I'm going to be an expert at calculus, and I'm going to go for it. And that's going to take a lot of energy, a lot of time, a lot of dedication. We get that. No problem. But then, let's say you become a rocket scientist, and 5 years into it, you're like, this is not really what I want to do with my time. I don't see myself long-term being a rocket scientist. And then you're like, well, I spent all this time, I've invested so much energy and money and resources into becoming a rocket scientist, I cannot say that word, scientist, that I'm just going to stay here. And I think that's where our parents' generation had the privilege of staying in their position for 20, 25, 30 years. Because it's rare that you find something outside of your God-given purpose, your dream, your goal, that will sustain you for 30 years. It's rare that you can just walk in like, I'm so happy I don't work. Like, I'm showing up to the office, but it's not work because I love it. Right? That's very hard to maintain and really hard to quantify when you're looking at certain situations like that. So when you're dealing with a position that you are expanding energy and trying to make your life, right, rocket science, imagine all the energy that you put into becoming a rocket scientist. You have to redo it. You have to do it again, and now you're like, okay, I'm going to be a doctor instead, a medical doctor. And I think a lot of people, once they realize there's a huge undertaking in learning, they decide not to. So the willingness to learn is sometimes greater than actually learning whatever it was that you set out to do. If you, from now on, draw a line in the sand that no matter what happens in this world, I will keep learning. And not only will I keep learning, I will learn skills that will take me over here, take me to here, take me to here, take me to here. That's something that I think is truly invaluable. Never be stuck wherever you're at. And not saying rocket scientist is a place that you can get stuck at, because if they're paying you whatever they pay rocket scientists, I'm sure it's handsomely, and you feel purpose and you are enjoying your time, you're not stuck. So don't mishear me. But knowledge is power, another one of those sayings. If you understand how you learn, you are willing to learn more, then life doesn't have to be what everybody says it is. You don't have to go to grade school, get good grades, go to high school, right, get good grades, go to college and pick your major that will sustain you for the rest of your life. Like I went to college for double major in computer science and vocal performance. And I was a network engineer for a couple years, and I was like, this is not it anymore. Don't use that part of the degree at all anymore. Obviously I sing, so I still sing. So I'm using that part of the degree, which they didn't really teach me much, but that's a whole different topic. They didn't teach me shit about singing. But I've realized that I have a willingness to learn, because I've had been blessed with having 17 different jobs, like a bunch of different jobs. I worked at Hollister, American Eagle, I worked at Little Caesars, I was a network engineer, I was a network tester, I was a network network analyst. I'm a loan officer right now and a real estate agent at the same time. I've done musical theater, got awards for that, obviously done some singing stuff. I'm in a movie that's shooting next month here and in California. So like, I have a willingness to learn, and it doesn't matter what it is. Like, I don't want to be stuck wherever I'm at. I want to have options, but I also want to like what I'm doing. And for some reason, like, after a certain amount of time, occasionally there are jobs I just don't feel comfortable doing anymore. Like, I'm not interested in making that my identity anymore. All right, when I was a network engineer, I was like, this is not what I want to do. This is not who I am. I do not wake up and like, oh, engineer Brandon. It just wasn't me. And I think to a certain degree, I don't wake up and I'm like, loan officer Brandon. That has no bearing on how good I am at certain positions, or how service helpful, or how well I service my clients in this, because it doesn't matter what I want to do. I'm disciplined enough to go through with it and do it if I've agreed to do it, right? But that being said, like, I think this generation specifically, we're after such purpose. We're after our calling. We're after something that makes a difference. We're after something meaningful. And with that pursuit comes a lot of trial and error, right? So you may think that you love helping people to such a degree, let's just go ahead and be a nurse. And then you become a nurse and you're like, well, shoot, fuck this shit. Low-key, What if you're like, I don't like it anymore? So then you have to scrap all that and then find the next thing. And maybe firefighter was actually what you're supposed to do. It's completely completely different than being a nurse. And you have to go through strenuous learning experience, strenuous training, just like you had to go through it when you were a nurse. So that being said, I guess if you take anything from this video, be willing and start practicing learning. Because learning is not child's play. Obviously, we've had to do it in school. But learning is significant. Learning is something that you have to do every day of your life. And this is not a hyperbolic statement at all. You have to do it every part of your life, especially in this economy. In 2025, the way the world's shifting, everything's moving super fast. And they used to say that when I was in school, like, if you don't learn, you're going to get left behind. And you're like, yeah, I'm going to be a doctor. I'm going to be fine. Then you look around, you're like, wait a minute. You really will be left behind salary-wise, position-wise. Excuse me, I get burping. Salary-wise, position-wise, friendship-wise, relationship-wise. You have to keep working and keep learning. You can't just do the same thing. We do not have the privilege of what our parents and grandparents dealt with, where they could just be a factory worker for 20, 30 years, have a house, have kids, have a dog, have, everything that they wanted in this society. You have to do more. You have to be more every day. And it's really hard to become more if you don't do it every day. So think of it like a fitness type of situation. You will lose all of your gains. You're going to hella deodorant on. Lose all of your gains if you do not work out the standard amount. Not every day, 5 days a week, 4 days a week of intense, focused, disciplined, diligent work. So, like I said, if you take anything from this video, have more of an openness and a willingness to learn, and you'll be all right.